I'm live. Am I really live? Okay, well, I hope so. Is my microphone working? Oh, don't know. Hope so. Because I have no way to find out until after I record. So, okay, I watched a couple videos. One was a gal kind of giving a pep talk about the writing process or whatever, and this and that. So I was going to do a video about that, and then I got sidetracked um, more onto this art tangent, which is a little more relevant to my typical programming anyway. Although I might talk about books and writing in the future, I haven't decided yet, along with some other stuff. But since I don't get very many views on these decor videos, I guess there's not much reason to go into it very long. Okay, and okay, I know it's kind of annoying to do a video where you talk about art and you don't show a lot of art, but for like I don't know, copyright reasons or whatever. I don't even know if that thumbnail that I posted is technically allowed. I don't know what's allowed and what's not allowed. So I have to talk a little bit more in abstractions. Okay, so let's say rewind 15, 20 years or whatever. I was working from those how-to books, and I still use those for reference or guidance or studies or whatever. And I make little studies, and I post artwork in my community forum if you haven't noticed. So some of the old ones I might post there later soon enough, and a couple of the newer ones I've posted there that are mostly done from photos, not from those reference books. Okay. So again, because I don't know what the copyright rules are of like, they're a how-to book, but you're not allowed to use them to sell art or something. How, you're supposed to change it maybe or so much, or when you're copying a Van Gogh, like you have to make the dimensions slightly different, or else no matter how crappy you are, you're technically a, what do you call it, a plagiarist or whatever. So I don't know all the rules, and so that makes it hard. But okay, so I was just watching a video about using artificial intelligence generated images to make your paintings from, and I mean, like I said, I do a lot from photos, so I don't see where it's that much different, you know. But a lot of the AI images are then recycled from old paintings because you'll put in like impressionism or something, and it'll generate an image based on impressionism mixed with these other elements, yada yada yada. And okay, so I found two sites that were free. One that really did take that painting element to heart, and so almost everything was very shot through the lens of like not one necessarily particular style of painting. And if you put in impressionism, it suddenly became way more colorful, I think, or maybe that was the other site, I forget. But everything was kind of like the faces were kind of wrong, like the noses would be like long or the mouths wouldn't be mouths or whatever. If you put in too many keywords, it would focus on these keywords and maybe eliminate these ones, and you wouldn't necessarily get the keyword you wanted. Some of the things, but the one of the images, I could not get them to print in color because I'm out of toner right now, so that's not the fault of the program necessarily, but it didn't want to print in my regular menu. I did finally get them to print by doing them individually, and I'm only going to show one, and it's in black and white, but this was generated, and you can see, again, I was out of toner, so the sky up here was very much kind of in between a realistic and impressionist sky, whereas other details, like down in here, very much more straight impressionist. Like this area was not terrible, but her face and her hair, very odd details, odd shape, very hard to capture. So just to be, I'm going to come back to this. But like if you wanted to use this as a guide, like I said, it's missing a lot of details where I kind of penned them in. This is where the cloud line was, but I don't have the color of the clouds, kind of yellow versus blue sky. and then ocean or sea down here, kind of blue, and then green and yellow here, and not the worst image. So I thought, well, I can just paint that without having to really change much about it, just for a fun project. So I did, and I didn't finish it, and I really blotched some areas because I didn't want to waste color, and I didn't want to use too much color, but I wanted to kind of show something. So like I said, I'll come back to that in a bit. I don't even know if I can fit the whole thing, but so like just a very quick unfinished idea, like, okay, fine. How is it different than working from a photo, though? Well, like I said, when I'm working from a photo, I'm often working from a photocopy that's this quality anyway. So a lot of the details do get lost. You know, they always say, well, go to the screen for your reference. Started some paint on my finger. Go to the screen for the reference, because then you'll get the la da 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 da. But the problem is, you know, my art stuff isn't in the same room as this room, so that's a little more challenging because I don't, you know, have a nice big screen to really zero in on detail anyway. But so I thought, well, is this kind of a gimmick though? I thought, you know, well, how quick can I churn out a thing that somebody might actually buy? Okay, so I probably spent less than an hour on this. Obviously, it would require more time for someone to take it seriously for me to, you know, actually show this at an art walk or something, and or, you know, put on a site like Etsy or something, you know. And you know, but again, here's where I would get confused, because okay, this is not a copyrighted image, right? This was a free generated image based on other images. So me copying this, like, there's no, I don't know how much copyright infringement there is, because I don't know how accurate this is to whatever original image this might have been, because I believe this is an amalgam of several images. Now, so again, when they do the landscape paintings and stuff, it's a little more, I mean, so many landscapes and even seascapes are so similar to each other. What's shown in the thumbnail, that again, I don't know, you know, if I'm allowed to like repost pictures of other people's book, but like there's a photo in one of the old books that I have that's very similar to the composition of one of the new books that I have. And then I did a painting based on, I think, more of the original, but looks more like the newer one, maybe. I don't know. It's kind of a hybrid, but they both look like they could have been. It looks like he might have copied this one and then I copied his, maybe, like, you know, it's redundant, right? And you know, how many fields of trees are really going to look different than other fields of trees? Oh, I put the tree over here instead of over here, whatever. So some of the images that I generated were based on old keywords from old paintings that I did, that I tried to do out of my head way back when I wasn't using those how-to books, or I was using those how-to books as a very loose guideline, because they wouldn't show exactly what I wanted, but they'd show elements of what I wanted, which is basically what AI is, right? I'm taking those elements, using those as keywords, and trying to generate images from which then I can make a painting. So like I said, when I put in like drinking tea outdoors, and it gave me like, I tried two different programs. This was the more painterly program. Almost none of the images it gave me were of anyone outdoors, but there's outdoors visible. So pretty close. And this could be tea in this giant bowl that she's holding that is supposed to be is that a latte mug? I don't even know. Try and hold it. And then there's some flowers that I didn't ask for, and the sea. I think I put in harbor and I got Mediterranean instead. So like whatever. The other site was a lot more accurate to a degree, but it said, oh, you have unlimited choices. But then after I did about 20, it said, you have too many choices, and keeps telling me to come back later. And some of the keywords that I put in it definitely didn't like. It said, oh, it's not you, it's us. Right, okay. And then it said one of them violated the community standards. And that word is a trade profession from antiquity until, you know, but not politically correct. I'll give you a hint. Moby Dick. It also didn't like Moby Dick as a keyword. It didn't like Ahab as a keyword, and it definitely didn't like the name of the profession as a keyword. And this program would not generate anything for sailors, men. If you had stormy, it only gave you pictures of boats. Most of the pictures of the boats that it gave you, like, it seems to understand pirate boats and pleasure sailing boats. And then sometimes it'll like mix cargo ships with pirate ships. So you'll have a cargo ship with masts, which is very odd. And some of the images were better than others. I put in dates. I think I put in like 1910, and it gave me a woman who looked like late 1800s, but it gave me boats that still looked like early 1800s, as far as I could tell. Right, master and commander, but with a late Victorian or early Edwardian woman. So, yeah, I see what you're going for. Close, but not quite. Again, when you put in, when I tried to change it from sailors to other profession, it just made everything farther away and a different view. And fish and boxes. So I guess fisherman is okay. Maybe I could have put in fishermen or fishmongers. Mongers be an unacceptable word. I have no idea. So but again, that was just the free program. I didn't try any of these paid subscription ones or whatever that might be better. I looked at a couple. One only did anime. That was completely, obviously useless because I don't want, cartoons. Yada, yada, yada. It's kind of hit or miss. So I don't know what programs to recommend, or find that free one, the Microsoft one, and use it sparingly, I guess, or use it cautiously, and, get some initial, but it would give me two, usually from a different viewpoint of almost the exact same thing. So like I put in like sailors at port, and it showed me like 20 guys sitting around laughing as if they were playing guitar at a campfire, sitting on a wooden dock that looked like something from a rotted summer camp, next to two brigantine boats or something from 150 years before or whatever. So you got World War II guys next to French merchant ships from Napoleon era or whatever, and like 20 seagulls. Like all of a sudden there was, but the water line would be like here, and then the guys would be like about here, and the seagulls would be standing here, and then there'd be these giant ships like 10 feet away, and you're like, okay, that's not really going to work. If you're trying to make this at all realistic. And this problem persisted through every iteration I tried, with the women strolling and in their Victorian outfits to the men doing. It gave me one that was actually really cool, but it had all these boats like crammed down like a super narrow canal with full sails, like they're going to crash into each other, as if you could sail full speed ahead, in a 20-foot canal, 20-foot wide, that is. And then of course the depth, who knows how deep that would have to be for these ships to actually travel through there. But the guys are just sitting there mending their nets, and nice color schemes, really good color schemes for some of them. Definitely going to steal, those ideas, and hopefully John Singer Sargent or whoever's paintings they came from isn't going to come back from the grave and say, hey, that was my woman. I don't know. So yeah, I got one where the woman, who looks like she's walking on the water, and there's another one like hovering behind her, and then this massive. A lot of them will have like massive boats with like a massive fountain or a bridge they're about to crash into, like, and like I said, a lot of the faces will be really distorted and kind of weird, and so I guess you have to be better at art than it is at art still, especially hands and eyes. They seem to have a lot of trouble with hands and eyes, where you're getting like one blotchy black eye and one kind of clear eye, and then like stuff that's in the wrong direction. Like I imagine if you said like smoking pipe, like the pipe would be backwards and he'd have the wrong side in his mouth or something, like some weird weird things like that going on. So good luck fixing that. And how, like I said, how accurate the age of the costumes is, because I had watched a long video by Carolina Zabrowska or whatever, where she had talked about that, and I didn't put it together what she was talking about till I watched this other art video where the guy was talking about. And then I realized, oh, okay, I see where you could try to use AI, because you're not going to use it for real historical purposes, but if you were using it for design purposes, hence this video. Okay. Because then I thought the light went off. Oh, he does this to make his paintings. Okay, what happens if I try to do it with my paintings? And then, of course, I didn't want my paintings to be anything like his paintings. I wanted to, like I said, redo some of my old paintings and see if I could get a more accurate depiction of what I was trying to accomplish in the past. And maybe, so like I said, but check back in a week or so, and maybe I'll have posted some good new stuff, and we'll see how it comes out. And I guess I'll stop talking. And if anybody has any questions and all that, leave a comment.